This video is to demonstrate budget resource types which are assigned to project summary tasks. I am using Microsoft Project version 2013. Some of you might be using prior versions of Project. The concepts are the same, even if the commands are in subtly different places. Initially, I'm going to create a plan from scratch, so I'm going to have a project summary task. We'll call this room refurbish. I'm going to paint the room. I'm going to carpet the room, and I'm going to install some furniture. From there I'm going to enter some basic durations, link these tasks together and give them a resource to do the job. So this is going to be the painter, the carpenter and facilities. From here what I'm going to do then is enter some costs against each of our resources. I'm going to nip onto the resource sheet and I'm going to enter £20, £25 an hour and £15 an hour. Back on the Gantt chart view, this will then give me a cost table. So let's imagine my budget was £1,500. My baseline is currently showing me that I'm due to spend around the £1,000 mark. Let's have a look at how we do budget resource. Back on the resource sheet, I'm therefore going to add a new resource and I'm going to call it budget. And I'm even going to name it with the word cost. And it's going to be a cost type. So this is going to demonstrate, say, a £1,500 budget. I could do the same here where I choose work. And maybe I want to say that I don't want to spend more than 30 man hours doing the job, and how many hours have I got left or how many hours have I gone over. The concepts are the same. This is a cost demonstration. I'm going to double click and enter the resource information dialog box, and I'm going to tick the word budget. In ticking this column, the only place this resource can be assigned to is the project summary task back on line 0 of the Gantt chart. So rather than working on the Gantt chart to make life an awful lot easier, I'm going to nip into the task usage view. And what I'm going to do in the task usage view is remove for now the split. And you can see here that I've got room refurbish. I'm going to go to the resources and I'm going to assign the resource, which is budget cost. I cannot actually type inside this square, so it seems a bit bizarre initially. What I've got to do is type in this square below the assignment that I've created to line 0. So I'm going to add a new column. This was the cost column, so I'm going to use budget cost. Notice there's also budget work if I was going to work in hours, and here I'm going to enter my figure of 1,500. So 1,500 now becomes the budget in cost for the room refurbishment, and if these jobs obviously finish on time, you may recall earlier it was £1,000 on my baseline. Now to make this really get demonstrated well, it makes sense to create a column called remaining budget. Remaining doesn't exist, so I'm going to create a custom field. Now there are a couple of different choices that you can make. However, due to the nature of calculated fields, there will be some extra formatting required whether you go with cost or number or text. So I'm going to choose cost initially. It's going to be a formula. And when I click on the formula button, the fields I'm going to use are cost related. I'd like to know my budget cost, which I've just entered as a £1,500, and I'd like to take away from that the actual cost. So as things are progressing and I enter actuals, it can do the maths and the difference between the two. So I'm just accepting all the warning default messages that come up. However, as this is going to go onto a summary task, I'm going to roll this up as a sum function and tell it to use the formula over the top. Actually, just using the formula is enough. Clicking OK. So from here I've then got myself a new column, and it's going to be cost 1. It would have made sense perhaps just to rename that at the same time. But this is what I was referring to earlier. It only works on the summary line, so I'm going to white font the remaining fields. So let's assume now the room has been painted on time by the painter. No problems at all. I will mark it as 100% complete. Here you can see then my cost coming down, remaining in my budget. What I'm going to do is add another column here and call it actual cost. So you can see the painter has actually cost me 480. Carpeting the room is halfway through. Again, the costs are coming through, and the change highlighting feature is showing you how, as you change the various percentages, so the remaining costs come through to our calculated field. To finish it off with, the project finishes on time, £1,500. Let's add an extra column briefly called fixed cost, just to demonstrate perhaps that there was an additional cost, let's say to installing the furniture, and we'll say that cost was £250. Again, you can see my remaining is £250 from my budget of £1,500. And that concludes this video. Thanks for watching.